And welcome once again to Investor's Edge. I'm Gary Kaltbaum, your host. Hey, thanks for being with us today. Glad you're here, ladies and gentlemen. Happy that you are listening. It is Thursday, the 19th, 2026. And it's April. No, it's March. No, it's March. You know what I was thinking of April? I had to change flights a little while ago because we got a lot of family business going on. As I told you, my father-in-law passed away at 92. It's been one hell of a year and change. Mom at 91, dad at 93, father-in-law at 92. They lived great lives. As we said, heartbroken but relieved because it got really tough at the end. And you know, when we said this, we didn't know how the response was going to be. Everybody emailed us and said, yeah, we know. We went through the same thing. So just so you know, today we are pre-taping the show. It's almost 1 o'clock. So we will not have the final numbers on this crappy market for you, but we'll go through what we are seeing. And mostly not pretty for obvious reasons. In case you don't know, this is serious talk, very serious, on everything that affects you. We'll do the markets, the economy, your job, your industry, war, oil, tariffs, miscalculations, the TSA at the airports, the NCAA tournament. As we told you, we will have games for you. And you know, when I said that on radio, boy, I got a ton of emails saying, yes, great. Because as you know, we were 10-1 in football in the NCAA final and the rest of the playoffs and the Super Bowl, of course, which, by the way, I believe we missed the score by 1 point. Or was it 2 points? Anyway, I'm traveling down to South Florida this afternoon. Tomorrow is the service and the funeral, and that's why I'm doing this right now. And I'm actually taking a train. They got this thing called the Bright Line from Orlando. I'm going to get off at Boca Raton. I believe it's 2 hours and 40 minutes. You got Wi-Fi, the whole works. Better than going to the airports, right? By the way, if you don't get this show in your city, we'll post it at GaryK.com. We'll post it on the YouTube channel of BizTV and on Twitter. And if you don't follow us on Twitter, you should. And, of course, if you'd like to email us, just be nice. We had one that was kind of, I'm not going to use the word. People are weird. I posted just on Twitter what the gas prices were. I went to the gas station, and I was called something weird. All I did was post the gas prices. That's it. There's so many people, I don't know how many, they're just so into the tank. You know what I mean by the tank, right? If it affects their person. It's amazing to watch. Speaking of that, you know, many years ago, this show, we did the market, and we did the economy. And we did the market, and we did the economy. The market and the economy, market, economy, market, economy. And then we noticed something. Starting with Bush, the debt and deficit started to really ramp up and kept going and going. So we started to add that in a little bit. What are these people thinking? How can they be doing this, that? And then we get into 2007, and we had the financial meltdown, which, by the way, was brought to you by the mucky mucks that are now billionaires. Nobody got indicted. Nobody got their hands slapped. Nobody went to jail. Nobody. They committed massive fraud from the rating services. Goldman put a tranche together of mortgage-backed securities and sold them and shorted them. So they sold something they know sucked. Nothing happened to them. Citigroup took bad loans off their books before earnings and put it back on. And it was reported. This was in the Wall Street Journal. And guess what happened to Citigroup? They were told not to do it again. I'm not making this up. So we realized that, and during that time, all the way 07, 08, and everything melting down, what happens next? They just drummed up $800 billion, I think it was 800, of our tax dollars, and gave it to the people who committed the crimes. And we never got a dime back. You remember that, right? Did any of you ever get a check saying return on investment for loaning the crooks who committed fraud that created the meltdown? Any of you get a check? Oh, that's right, you didn't. So all of a sudden we realized there was something up. And you know what we realized? That the people in Washington, D.C. went to Wall Street. The people in Wall Street went to Washington, D.C. They were all best buddies, and they all gave us the middle finger. And since then, they just continue to give us the middle finger. So we had to talk more about them. And, you know, we get emails every now and then, talk more stocks, markets. The markets are them. You had the head of the central bank print $9 trillion and take all that money and interfere with the bond market, screwing every saver. Remember, you got 0% on your money markets? That was one man in government. They allowed one man, we had no say, one man in government to do that. So we had to talk about it. And all we have gotten is a crapload of lies from all of them. All of them. All of them. Bush, Obama, Obamacare. Oh, we're going to put millions of people on and get rid of pre-existing conditions, but your premiums are going to go down. Let me ask all of you out there. Have your premiums gone down? Simple question. No, instead they have skyrocketed. Barack Obama lied his ass off to you. And there's a video of this guy named Jonathan Gruber, one of his architects of Obamacare, saying, yeah, we lied to the American people, and you know why we were able to lie? Because American people were stupid. Go look, it's there. You think Obama was ever questioned about it? No. Why? Because the media colluded. They were in collusion. Obama can't do any wrong. And then we get Donald Trump. Oh, I'm the greatest deal maker on earth, greatest financial guy on earth. I'm going to cut the deficits. We're not going to have any debt. And he just ramped them up in his first term. He ramped them up. Right? And don't get me started on other things with Trump. And then we get Joe Biden. What was the name of that thing he put out? First, the $1.8 trillion, the Inflation Reduction Act, and then he actually, I don't even think he remembered. He actually came out and said, yeah, the Inflation Reduction Act does not reduce inflation. He actually said that. He's such a doofus. And he had some other act, I forgot the name, about debt and deficits that was a complete lie. Biden. Oh, and he also told us that the border was secure 100 times. And his guy Mayorkas, 100 times. Joe Biden should have been impeached for that. Totally impeached. For putting us in harm's way. And then we get Trump again. A lie a day. Tariffs are paid by other countries. Yeah, sure. I'm going to handle the debt and deficits. Yeah, sure. 2.8 trillion in deficit in the last year. Great. But I digress to what my point is. I want you to think about something. There are 4 and 5 and 6 hour waits at some airports. Brought to you by the government. Up next, we'll put a bow tie on it, get into the markets, and whatever else. This is the one and only Investor's Edge. And welcome once again to Investor's Edge. So what am I alluding to by prefacing all this going back to Bush? They're trying to tell us now we cannot pay the people at TSA. So a bunch of them are already retiring. Go screw yourself. And a bunch not showing up. To where there's certain airports that have hours and hours of waits. People are missing their flights. People are missing their connections. I'm seeing Frontier screwing people, making them pay up for the next flight because they can't get paid. I want you to think about that. They're government workers, by the way. Our government federally is going to spend $7.5 trillion this year, and TSA can't get paid. Our government ran a $2.8 trillion deficit in the last year, and TSA can't get paid. They're calling for $1 trillion for the war, but TSA can't be paid. They suck. And I know what you're saying. Oh, it's the Democrats' fault. And you know what? On this, it is. But aren't you sick and tired of the Democrats saying it's the Republicans' fault when it is the Republicans' fault, and the Democrats saying it, and the Republicans saying it's the Democrats' fault when it's the Democrats? Aren't you sick and tired of it? Haven't you had enough? Think about that. They're saying they can't pay. Think about that. Their job is to oversee this country, protect the citizenry, make sure the things they run are running well. And where is Donald Trump in this? The king of executive actions. Why not be the hero and come out with because he loves naming his names, the Donald Trump executive action to pay the TSA people with all their back pay immediately? Executive order. Where is that? Do we not think he can do that? Seriously. You're telling me he can't do that? Anyway, you see where I was going with this? They suck. All of them. And you all, oh, you like this one, you love that one, you hate this one, you hate that one. How do you think we got here? It was Bush, Republican, Obama, Democrat. Trump, Republican, supposedly. Biden, Democrat. Trump, Republican. And all the miscreants in between. They can't get TSA paid. In this day and age. With $7.5 trillion being spent federally this year. And people missing their flights. And by the way, some of those flights are not what we would call not necessary. I bet you there's some flights of moms, grandmoms wanting to visit mothers that are about to have a baby, or funerals. I'm taking a train down to South Florida. The only flight tonight is Southwest Airlines to Lauderdale. I'm not even going to try. I'm taking the train. Let's get to more. You get my point. Aren't you tired of it? Oh, by the way, I forgot the campaign finance reform. You remember that? Taking money out of elections. They freaking lied out their asses. And we just sit here and take it. Because this side is ours and that side is ours. Why do you think I blew them all off? We should come up with the screw them all party. We really should. Maybe that's an idea. Anyway, it's 111. Dow's down 460, S&P 55, NASDAQ 218, NASDAQ 242. It's tried to rally a few times today. It has. But each time, and oil prices are down a little bit today, but nothing special. Each time it's tried to rally and just kind of petered out. It's not at the low of the day right now, but it's starting to aim towards it. And what we do want to do is decipher a little bit and be repetitive as usual. Avoid housing and housing related. Stay as far away as possible as it's worsening. And by the way, they came out with a housing start number today. Let me see if I can find it somewhere. It's what I would call holy crap. Even worse than anybody would think. I'm just going through it right now. I know I saw it somewhere. Come on, little guy. If I find it, I'll tell you. But I think it was like 200,000 lower than expected on housing. And we kind of already knew. Right? I'm looking for it as I speak. So just stay away. And when we mean related, we mean related. Home Depot, Lowe's, Restoration Hardware, Sherwin-Williams, things like that. It's miserable now. It's quite miserable. But interesting enough, they come out with this Philadelphia Fed index was better than expected today. Who the heck knows? All I know is we had 0.7% GDP, and that's not good news. I do believe Williams-Sonoma, though, had a good reaction to earnings yesterday, sold right back off. Housing related. Avoid all the financials. I don't have a financial stock in shape now. Some of the Canadian banks were holding up. They're starting to get them now. And some of the financials have blown up. Absolutely blown up. 30s, 40s, 50s. And that's of note. That's just for starters. For now, you have to avoid anything that uses a lot of gas. Up next, we'll keep going sector by sector now to give you an idea. And there's some good pockets of strength. We'll get to that too. This is the one only Investor's Edge. And welcome once again to Investor's Edge. So we mentioned financials and housing. Not good. Insurance stocks. Not good. Big breakdowns. Go look at IAK. It's the insurance ETF. Big breakdown in insurance. And I gather you can say that's financial. But it's an absolute avoid. We mentioned the travel related. Anything using a lot of oil, right? Airlines, cruise lines, truckers, rails. And as you know, it's been hit pretty damn good. And I must tell you, the rails and truckers were acting damn well before this episode, for lack of a better word. We just avoid them right now. And we get asked every day, but Gary, isn't this going to end? Aren't they a good value? The problem is I don't know where it ends. Yeah, you're right. 100%. When this ends and if oil really tanks, and one would think 1 + 1 = 2, it will, that the beneficiaries will be the airlines, cruise lines, and all that. And by the way, a lesser extent is the hotels. They're under pressure. The casinos have been bearish for a long time anyhow. Avoid. And since we mentioned all those, we're talking transports. And then there's the medicals. We've mentioned to you the research and the medical products, just bear markets. Medtronic, things like that. But what also has happened now is the drug stocks have completely topped. They're in a bearish phase right now of unknown time and price. The PPH is the ETF for pharmaceuticals. Go look. It's topped. And you already know about the managed care, holy crap. That's United Health and the rest. But I think they finally topped out the hospitals, which, by the way, have been strong because they can charge you anything they want, right? I told you my wife's $26,000 story, my $4,500, my $26,000 story. My wife had a story from many years ago. She was in the hospital for ulcerative colitis many years ago, and we get the bill. We found Tylenols, 2 of them, for $26. They called it cost sharing. I had a $26,000 bill for 10 hours. No, really. And then they try to charge $5,000 for outpatient. I said I wasn't an outpatient. Oh, we'll change that. We'll take it off. Well, they didn't take it off. They just changed it to observation. I go, observation? What's the rest of it? Not observing? Anyway, I went back to them and all of it got wiped out. They're really good. Yeah, just charge them this, charge them that. $26,000 for 8 hours. And by the way, they really didn't do any tests. I think they did a couple of things. $26,000. And I don't know how it works. Do they get paid? Do they don't get paid? This gets a write-off. This gets a charge-off. The insurance company pays this. This pays that. Who knows? You know what I do know? The hospitals are getting bigger and bigger here in Central Florida. That's what I do know. And they're buying everybody out. What a business. I'm in the wrong business. The consumer staples, some of them were acting well, not anymore. They topped out. Most of the commodity stocks, the copper, aluminum, all that crap, topped out. Remember we told you about gold miners? As soon as they broke the 50-day avoid, they're crumbling. And guess what gold did today? It's the number one question I got today is gold. It's down $22 to GLD, 5% to 422. And you know what? Everybody's smart. Everybody asked the same question. How is gold going down when we're at war? What a valid question. You know what my answer to every one of them was? I have no idea. But now gold, and we already told you silver is much worse than gold. These are avoids. Most retail are avoids. Not Five Below, which is up $23 today to a new high on earnings. Not Raw Stores, which is almost at a new high, had good numbers. Believe it or not, Burlington is okay. But tons of things, big bear markets in retail. Autos, auto dealers, payroll, avoids. China, avoid. Really the weakest area right now. And then there's some other things that have topped out recently, just pure, unadulterated avoids. Anything below the 50-day moving average. And there's a lot of those. Restaurants. Ew. Oh, did I mention economically sensitive? You know those names. Otis Elevator, Carrier Air Conditioners, Borg Warner, Sherwin-Williams, Stanley Works, Snap-on Tools, Whirlpool. All in bad shape. So a lot of avoids. Wish I had better things to tell you. Oh, biotech in the medical is topped out too. But strength, obviously, oil stocks. What's the problem with even thinking about them now? They've had a big move because of the movement in oil. And one has to think, wait a minute, what if tonight the president, we've done enough? Well, we don't know if that's going to open the straits, to what point it does, but I got to believe you get a $10 drop in nanosecond of oil prices. And that means the oil stocks are coming down, don't you think? And the same for fertilizers, which is also, there's a bottleneck too. Those are strong. And today, coal. Just letting you know, good move in coal today. If you look at charts of BTU, how about CNR? They're kind of breaking out. Coal. So there's a commodity that's making a move. But besides that, the only other area is that same area I've been telling you about. Semiconductors, not all, but the benefactors of the AI, and then that AI trade. Now, some of the building/construction have gone by the wayside, but I got to tell you, in a crappy market, most are all green today, and some strong green. Unbelievable. Sienna, Coherent, Symbol Light, LITE, insane. Seagate Tech, Western Digital, Vertiv, VRT, just strong. Corning, strong. How about that GE Vernova? Electric Power, strong. That area, unbelievable. Another crappy day, and they're just ignoring it. That area, which has me thinking, are we going to get a climactic move in these names? And then in the semis, the equipment guys, ASML, AMAT, KLAC, LRCX, though, under some pressure around here, and in and around the 50-day moving average, and are going to need to pop off of that, which hasn't happened yet. But on a relative basis, a tiptoe through the tulips. And then some others that I call lesser in the AI realm. Symbols, BE, FN. Jabil opens up down 20 yesterday on earnings. You think, oh, what happened there? Finished down maybe a couple, I think, and is up another $4 today in a crappy market. A POWL, KEYS, them too. But it's now much narrower. I keep lists, and on my list is a lot of strikes through the symbol, meaning they went bye-bye. Up next, we'll up to date on the market and whatever else. This is the one and only Investor's Edge. And welcome once again to Investor's Edge. Again, we are taping this show very early. It's only 1:30. I will tell you, in the last few minutes, oil prices dropped $2, it looks like, and is way off the highs of this morning. But the market can't get traction. It has tried a few times today. The Dow's down 357 as I speak. Nothing really down big today in the Dow. Just everything is down except Chevron and oil. And Johnson & Johnson, which has been one of the stronger stocks in the Dow. And yeah, Johnson & Johnson's a medical. It is a port in the storm of the medicals. And their numbers have improved immensely over the last couple of years. And actually, Cisco Systems is up. But everything else is down. Caterpillar's 11. Goldman's only down $2, was down like 12. I'm watching that. You hope things get better, but I need to see financials. I'll know if I see a bunch of financials turn green, and it's been trying all day. As I said, Goldman down 12. Citigroup's up now a little bit. Want to see that. As I said to you, the oils we know, some other commodity areas, the fertilizers, we mentioned coal, but that AI, optical storage, memory, data, and some of the semis just remain an unbelievable wow of holding up versus the rest, number one. But there's some names that are just strong and refuse to break. They've tested, Seagate tested the 50-day average and working out, for example. LITE, do you know LITE on Tuesday gapped down? Well, let me give you a Monday. Opened at 673, closed at 624, because there was worry about NVIDIA said something, maybe they're not going to be used. And then the next day gaps down $50 to 573 and closes at 650. Yesterday gaps up, hits 743, closes at 700. Today it gaps down at 670, it's 750. It's $80. This thing's moving $80 a day, but is up $50 today. That is strength, kids. So that area, pretty darn strong. I mentioned the discounters, not all. But by the way, even Target has some relative strength, and you know how weak they've been, but I'm not the biggest of fans just yet of that stock. But Ross Stores, Five Below. I will tell you TJ Maxx, but is below the 50-day a little bit right now and needs to get worked out. This Tapestry, not so bad. And that's in comparison to a lot of other retailers that have been bombed. Absolutely bombed. So just letting you know what's working, what's not working. You know, there are questions to be answered from up high on the war and what's going to happen. You know, there are people that think even if the war ends, that oil is not going nearly back to where it came from, even though the administration says it will. Of course they're going to say that. So I'm kind of doing on the train today, I'm going to be going through that and trying to, I don't know if I'll be able to figure out, but what would be the reason if we end the war, open the straits, what would be the reason why oil would not go back all the way where it came from before the war? I'm going to try and do a little a deep dive on that. I'm not sure I'll get the answer, but we'll try and figure it out. Anyway, so oil's down today, but the market not happy, which gets me to the other part of the equation. Is there more that meets the eye? And just remember, we just got an 0.7% GDP. That is not a golden age. We just got a job number, loss of 85,000 or 86 or 87, I'm close, jobs in a month. That's not a golden age. And we just got a pickup in inflation yesterday. That's not a golden age. And the 10-year yield is moving higher. By the way, it hit 4.326 today. 4.326, which was a breakout above the January 20th, but it's kind of tucked its head in like a frightened turtle today. So hopefully it stays down. We'll see. All I can tell you, there's not a lot of great news to tell you. And of course, there's still tariffs out there, which are insane. And remember what we told you early on. Eventually, the tariffs are going to bite. We told you that. Doesn't happen a week or month, but in months. Because tariffs are a tax on us. And as I told you, I have a buddy that we had some lunch, old college buddy, doing very well in his business. He paid $900,000 tariff recently. That's right out of his bottom line. And now they're doing their thing to get it back. And they're supposed to get it back. But he thinks there are brokers now that do that for them. There are people that go out to get your tariff money back and get a piece of it. That's going on. And I can promise you, $900,000 for him. Apple paid $1.2 billion. But they got exemptions. So who the hell knows? I just know I'm a big believer in higher taxes are bad. There are repercussions. And speaking of that, do you know that the state of Washington just passed a 9.9% tax on personal income above $1 million? It's to take effect 28. It's expected to impact 21,000 households. No big deal, right? There's going to be a fight because I guess there's some law in Washington. There's a state prohibition on income taxes, I think. Imagine those 21,000 households and what they're going to do. Anyway, wish I had better news. Crappy market day, down 400 as we're out of here. You have a great day. Drive carefully. Adam will be doing the show tomorrow. We'll give notes if anything happens. Great day. Drive carefully. When you get home, do like we do. Make sure you hug your family, hug your children. They will feel better. You will feel better. Hopefully by the close today, it gets better. Stay well. Be well. Have a great day. Bye-bye.